So I recently uploaded a video talking about the ZX4RR and the pros and cons of it and all those other things, and I watch my videos over and over and over again because I want to know if it's good, if I need to do something else or different. Did I ramble on a little too much, which I think I did in this last video? Am I giving misinformation, which I think I did in this last video? And was I just getting to the point, which I was not in the last video? I know you guys don't give a shit about my history on motorcycling and what I've done, what I do, all those things. You came here to learn about the Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR, baby. Yeah! So let's talk about it. Alright, so Kawasaki came out with this thing, and it was like, whoa, what the hell is this? And I think people are still like, whoa, what the hell is this? Pretty cool stuff though. I mean, it's a small displacement inline four. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. And it attracted me to it because, you know, well, I didn't really want a high-tuned inline four bike like you would see on like a ZX6 or a ZX10 or any other inline fours, or the actual, I guess you could call, true super sport bikes. I didn't really care for it as far as like, yeah, I want that. I love power. I love power, baby. But what I don't love is being crunched up into these little balls and being in an uncomfortable position and trying to enjoy my bike riding day without having to take like what, a 15-20 minute break every 15 to 20 minutes. Like I'm not all about that. So I didn't want that, and that's why I stayed away from sport bikes for the longest time. However, I talked to Yami Noob and he gave me a bunch of bike options. I sifted through them, and the ZX4RR just made the most sense for me, at least for a brand new bike. It's something unique that nobody has, or is the first time of something coming out. I like that stuff. I like things that just never existed before, and now they exist. So I'm all about it. I never got a chance to actually test ride the ZX4RR. That kind of sucked, but you know, that's how motorcycle fucking dealerships are. They're just like, oh, well, yeah, no, we're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let you test ride the bike. You just have to buy it and have a good day with it. Like, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You got my insurance information, you got my fucking driver's license and shit. If I wreck your goddamn shit, I'm gonna have to buy it anyways, or something, you know. Well, I don't know. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. So, anywho, I bought the ZX4RR. My first riding experience on it was good. In fact, it was great. And I enjoyed it thoroughly, and still enjoy it thoroughly. I think it's a cool, nifty little machine. Coming down from Harley-Davidson into a sport bike like this, it seems like a little tiny toy. Like, it's so cute and adorable. But yeah, it's a good experience. And so we're going to dive into it a little bit more though. We're going to get into those pros and cons, talk more about the bike, where I think it sits on the scale of, you know, whether this is a beginner or an expert bike or whatever the case may be, and my final thoughts. So let's start off with the pros. The pros of this motorcycle are, it's a small displacement inline four. Like you don't have that anywhere else. Like, this is the first time it's been done. To experience a full and true super sport feel and sound, the ZX4RR is the perfect answer to that. You get the super sport sound out of it. You just don't have to worry about killing yourself because you don't know how to handle the bike, and all those other fun things. The ZX4RR comes with a ton of technology, and a lot of it is very much beginner friendly, such as the power modes, the traction control modes, just the fact that you have a complete digital dash full of information at your fingertips at any given point in time. And then you have the next bit of technology, which is the automatic quick shifter, which is cool. It's awesome. However, there is a little bit of a con to that, but we'll talk about it in the cons. The pros to this thing is just it's buttery smooth. It gives a nice ride feel. Something that I have never experienced before with a motorcycle. So, awesome. cool, all day, every day. Another pro to the ZX4 is the fact that it screams out to 16,000 RPM. That's just a good day. That kind of is a pro in itself in a couple regards. One, the fact that you get to feel and hear a 16,000 rev out of an engine, but you're not reaching breakneck speeds to get there, and to actually enjoy that sound and feel that this bike can produce for you. You know, on a ZX6 or a 10 or any other inline 4 super sport, I mean, you're already breaking the law in first gear, second gear, and you really haven't done shit. The ZX4 will actually like to explore the gears, explore the bike, explore the road, and get a new feel and take on something that maybe those that are in leader bikes might have never experienced. So yeah, cool stuff. I guess this is kind of a pro, but I don't think really, because anybody who's always just maintained sport bikes would say that the ZX4 might be a little heavy, but anything is lighter than a Harley. I could just put it up underneath my arm and just say, hey, look at my motorcycle. It's adorable. It's so adorable. It's so small. Another pro is the seating height, which tropes into the whole thing of like, I just didn't want to be uncomfortable. I didn't want to be in this whole scrunched up position on a super sport. The seating position is fairly upright. It's of course more aggressive than a cruiser, as it should be, but ultimately I can ride this thing for quite some time and not get like tired. Yes, I still have to take breaks and stuff like you do on any motorcycle, but I feel like you can get quite a bit of endurance out of this thing compared to other super sports that I just don't believe you're gonna get. You know, I just don't feel like pulling off the road every 20 minutes because my fucking back hurts. Like I didn't want to have that experience, and that's why I didn't go with sport bikes for the longest time. So yeah, there's a ton of pros to this thing. Like it feels great, it rides great, it sounds great, it's got the technology, it's all the stuff that you want on a bike. But here's the cons. We're gonna start off light on the cons. The first con on this is alluding back to the automatic shifter. Going down at any point in time in the operational temperature of the motorcycle is perfectly fine. It can be cold, it can be warm, it can be hot. The motorcycle shifting down automatically is good shit. However, going up is a different problem. If the bike is cold, it's going to hate you. It's going to hate you. It's not going to like you, it's going to hate you. It's going to jerk you around, and it's going to make you look like a dumbass that doesn't know how to shift a motorcycle, and I don't like that public appeal. Okay, you're out in the public, and when it comes to motorcycles, I take a little bit of pride knowing how to shift my bike, and when an automatic shifter doesn't do it as good as I can, it kind of sucks. When the bike is warm, like it's almost its operating temperature, it's not as bad. I will say first to second gear is the worst. Oh my lanterns, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You fucking simpleton. You dumbass. You absolute piece of human trash. Jesus fuck, man. God, I hate people on the road. Anyways, the next con is the price point. $10,000 for a small displacement inline 4 is too much. And here's the thing, you can be like, oh, it's a KRT edition, it's the first run of it, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing. I don't fucking care what the fuck it is. It's still, at the end of the day, a small displacement inline 4 for 10 grand. This bike should be worth $6,000 to $7,000 all day. I would buy that bike again and again for $6,000 to $7,000. At 10 grand though, it's just not worth it in the regards of we are looking at the bike for the mechanical creature that it is, 10 grand is too much. You could be like, well, then why did you buy it? I like uniqueness, okay? I like uniqueness. I wanted a super sport, but not a super sport. I don't plan to go to track day. I am one of those niche individuals that this bike might make sense for. I have money, and I don't care about a lot of the other sport bike features that people tend to buy sport bikes for, which is go to the track and do all sorts of crazy shit, okay? I don't care. I don't care about that. I just want to go on the road, go through the canyons and the hills, and tear up some pavement on the side of mountains, and that's about it. And I just wanted the sound of a super sport, but a usable super sport. And the ZX4RR is a usable super sport, so that's okay in my book. But I think the price point would be a little bit easier to swallow if the damn thing didn't come neutered from the factory. And now, I did post another video, like I said, which awesome individual, which I am sorry, you can post back in the comments again if you watch this video, which I'm sure you will, that you mentioned that it was actually Canada, not California, Canada, that caused the neutering of the vehicle because noise complaints. The fucking thing is noisy as it is. Like, who cares? We enjoy our motorcycles loud and proud, all right, and fully fucking functional from the factory. And that's the whole thing. It got neutered. It's supposed to be like 70 something horsepower, but we got it at 55, 54, and that's just stupid. That is the lamest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. So not only are you buying a bike for $10,000, but you're not even able to experience it at its full capability, at its full power. And that's just bullshit. And the only way to remedy this is, if you buy it right off the bat and you plan to do it, is take the gas tank apart, partially some of the fairings and all this other stuff, yank out the ECU, send it off somewhere, and have it flashed, of which you should probably look into Two Wheel Dyno Works. They're awesome people. I plan to send the ECU off to them. But, you know, if you do that, you're going to void your factory warranty. Now, granted, you only got a year of factory warranty, but still, that's a hard year. All right, it's been a hard year. I haven't really, I think, hit my full year yet with this bike. I think May is when I bought it, so I only got a couple more months left. But shit, man, if something happens in that couple months where that factory warranty could really kick in, you better not have your ECU flashed, because if Kawasaki or any dealership discovers that your ECU is flashed, yeah, you ain't getting your fucking work done. At least not for free. So yes, that sucks. That's those two cons right there, the price point and that ECU, I would have to say might outweigh a lot of the good that this bike offers and brings to the table. I really do believe that this ZX4RR, and then I think now it's just a ZX4R or ZX4 now in the lineup, needs to be dumbed down in price. It needs to stick around because it is the gateway drug. It is absolutely the gateway drug to getting into super sports and an inline four, and not having, to me personally, the ploppity sound of a parallel twin or just an inferior motor or bike. Yes, there are times and places for those motors and everything like that. Go ahead and rattle off how much you hate me in the comments below. I don't care. The whole point, though, is I want the sound and the feel of a super sport. The ZX4RR, and by extension any other ZX4s, are the way to go to experience this. That, or you can go down the used market, which kind of leads into this whole, like, you know, now we're getting into the thoughts. For $10,000, you can get a lot of bike. Okay, if you go down the used rabbit hole, you can find some really nice bikes for 10 grand. So you don't even have to buy a brand new bike. If you got the money to burn and you actually have it and you're not willing to finance it, although you can get a personal loan for 10 grand and get some financial, you know, stability there, because usually the interest rates on personal loans aren't that high. Going forward, though, if you got 10 grand to spend, don't spend it on a ZX4RR. There's no reason to. There's absolutely no reason to. just go buy a nice pre-owned bike, or cough up a few more $1,000s at that point, buy you something. You know, I think the ZX6 really isn't that much more expensive. By all means, just grab a ZX6 at that point. Again, like, it should be a $6,000 bike. It really should. There's no reason for it to be up that high. Who is this bike for? Is it for the beginner? Yes and no. Is it for the intermediate? Yes and no. I think this whole part here it's just an unanswerable question with this ZX4. It's been an unanswerable question for quite some time. And I understand now why this is such an unanswerable question. From the factory, the ZX4RR is a great beginner bike. It really is. It's got friendly technology that assists the rider with any mistakes that they might do, along with having a little bit of luxury with that auto up and down. And because it's neutered, a beginner person doesn't have to worry about, you know, ripping the throttle and looping the bike over or any of that shit. Like, between traction control, the power modes, and everything else on this bike, a beginner, a straight up beginner, can learn on this motorcycle and grow into its factory setting, if not already start at the factory setting right from the get-go in sport mode, and have a good day with it. But here's the thing, as a beginner, I think eventually you might, along with myself here on this fence, that's why I'm 50-50 on this bike, is I don't believe someone's going to keep it unless they go down the road of spending even more money to get the ECU flash, of which, once you put an exhaust, an air filter, some other little doodads here and there, maybe some custom parts like you know, the tail tidy and all the generic shit that everybody does to their sport bike, and then get the ECU flashed, at that point in time, it becomes an intermediate bike. For sure. It is an intermediate bike. It's not an expert bike. It's never going to be an expert bike. The only time that it becomes an expert bike, I guess, is if you really, really alter it and put some crazy shit on there, but I don't see anybody other than those who know that they're experts doing that. So, at factory setting as it sits, it's a beginner bike all day. Once you flash that ECU, it turns into an intermediate bike. That is what I'm going to be doing, and I plan to customize this bike and give it the fair shot that it actually deserves. So stay tuned for that video. I'm going to be putting a Kaufman Classic exhaust. It's a nice short exhaust. I like the look of them, and I've heard the sounds and stuff. So cool stuff. Put a DNA air filter into it. Get a nice tail tidy. And like I said, actually treat this bike how it's supposed to be treated, which is with some care and some customization. Of course, I'm going to be setting off the ECU. That's going to be going to Two Wheel Dyno Works. And I can't wait to actually get this bike back and see what the hell what it does. I really hope I'm like everybody else that's done this to their bike, their ZX4RRs, and experience a hell of a ride based upon their initial riding of this motorcycle. So, in summary, don't buy it unless you absolutely want it, because it's, again, sound like a broken record. Unless you are comfortable with financing and it's not going to put you in a bind, go for it. But if this is like your first bike and you have no fucking clue what you're doing, although I said it is a beginner bike, but in the truth, in all matters, you should be buying something pre-owned. Something for a couple $1,000s or something like that to get your feet wet, so to speak, and make those necessary mistakes and get some experience, get a year or two of experience, and then go after it. But, you know, here's the problem though. Here's the problem. Once you get that experience, are you even going to look at the ZX4RR? Are you going to look at it? I don't know. I already told you why I looked at it. I'm coming into the sport bike field for the first time as an experienced rider. So I'm a niche rider. I have some reasons to look at this ZX4. I have the money, I have the experience, I have all the things, I'm stable, and blah, 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 blah. So I am that one of those weird fine-to-find people that meets the requirements to consider this bike. And then, of course, to those that are intermediate riders or have had experience on the road, I mean, the only thing I can say to you, like leader guys and your 600 guys and the people who have more horsepower than what they actually need, maybe dumb your horsepower down and go to the ZX4RR. Maybe you want to, I don't know. But again, it's a $10,000 bike, so do you want to buy another $10,000 bike? Do you have that room in your garage, Jay Leno? Huh? You want to, is that what you want? It is such a niche vehicle that, again, drop the fucking price to like $6,000 to $7,000. I think a lot more people would appreciate it, much more so than the few people who actually do own this vehicle, this motorcycle, and are trying to help people decide one way or another. You got to be almost a niche of the niches in order to not only, one, buy this thing in the first place, and two, keep it in your stall. And for a time that's actually like worth the 10 grand spent. But that's all. I mean, that's all I had on the ZX4RR. I hope this was a little bit more informative. So the 70 people, supposedly, allegedly 70 people who viewed the previous video, you know, hopefully this one was a little bit more enlightening, a little bit more enjoyable. You know, that's, like I said, I watch my own videos to make sure that the content is actually something I would fucking watch, and other stuff. So nonetheless, again, you had yourselves a rockin' day, Motorheads. Yeah.